Thanks for having us here tonight. We are very excited to share what we've been working on. This is the evolution. This project started about 3 years ago. So I'm going to do a little bit about just telling you how it started and the impetus. Then Chase will tell you a little bit about where it is today and the technology behind it. You can go to the next slide. And the next slide, that's just our studio logo. Just a little bit about Push quickly. We are a studio at DePaul's Loop campus in the College of Computing and Digital Media. I hail from the School of Design. I've been there for a long time. We'll just put it that way. But the studio is really focused on giving students and faculty the opportunity to create equitable and ethical applications of emerging technology. So we work with a lot of different types of XR, AR, VR, AI, whatever. We just got a BCI headset, brain computer interface headset that Addie is working with. So it's been really exciting. The whole goal, though, is to use human-centered design methodology, which is what I research mostly in my practice, into how do we start to develop new content, new uses and applications using human-centered methodology to really make sure that we're thinking about the people that are going to use these, the ethics that are applied to the new applications, things like that. So that's really what we're doing mostly in the space. We have kind of a team that does research projects and experimental projects, which is what we'll talk about tonight. Then we also have students that are interns that do for-hire work. We work with a lot of startups. We do a lot of interface design, integrating AI and things like that is a lot of what we're doing right now. So a little plug for the studio. Happy to tell you more about that. But let's keep moving. Like I said, I'm Leanne.
Chase.
Yeah, I think we had a good intro already, so we won't belabor this in our 5 minutes here. So go ahead. So we started this project, like I said, about 3 years ago. It came with another faculty member, Leanne Tran, who came from the University of Miami. She was working with their law clinic there. They had done extensive research around gender-based violence and found that there was a real lack of training in that space for police officers and folks in that capacity for how do you do trauma-informed interviewing. And so VR felt like a really great space to kind of use that as a space where you aren't going to re-traumatize somebody. You can practice over and over. So that's where we started that. You can see we started working with some of the Chicago Police Department here. I think these folks are from Buffalo Grove, this officer here. And we started a platform called Copilot. So Copilot is still an enterprise level platform, has a great distribution model for pushing to, remotely. So we were kind of started here, but it is a kind of like a choose your own adventure. It's a scripted branching narrative. We learned a ton in this process to understand how to create the content for that, because you literally had to write out the whole script. So you can kind of see in the slides on the very bottom of this that it's difficult to see, but it's this very large a piece of the branching narrative. So when we worked on this, it was very much like you had an option of what you could say, and you chose that. We were really intentional on how we did that writing, though, for that script, working with folks with lived experiences, folks that had experienced sexual assault, improv writers, folks that really kind of helped us understand how to create that dialogue in a really responsible way from that perspective. Obviously, we worked really closely with the police officers as well to kind of understand how do they assess how well you do in these platforms. So the whole idea of this is to create kind of a training experience so you can practice these things and then have an assessment at the end to help you kind of refine how you're talking and how you're communicating. So it's all around soft skill training from that perspective. So we evolved from there. After this, from testing with this, we found that a lot of the officers, this is what I would say, but this is not how I would say it. It didn't feel kind of natural. So we moved on, and I can go to the next slide, to build our own platform. Very creative in our naming, the CSVT, Campus Safety Virtual Training. So it went through a couple of evolutions before here. Before we came to Campus Safety and worked with them to do this training, we actually kind of really demoed this platform or started building it out with some of our English professors to understand in a really safe, non-consequential environment when we were developing out this new platform, because it uses all generative AI to create the conversation rather than writing out the content in this kind of very long form. So Campus Safety Virtual Training has worked with our campus safety officers at DePaul, as the name might suggest, to understand how to kind of take the same thing that we were doing with the Chicago Police Department to our campus at DePaul. We're looking at maybe not necessarily trauma-informed interviewing techniques, a little bit more of the situations on campus that are low frequency but high risk, things like theft, assault, intoxicated students, things like that happen. And really, it works best, we've found through testing, is folks that are either new to the college population or folks that have never worked in a security officer space before. Gives them the opportunity to kind of practice that. So we can go forward. We got a little demo or a little video of it that we'll talk about it. But because we're talking about content tonight, we wanted to talk a little bit about the process of how we built this, built the platform, and how we are training the AI and things like that. So I'll let Chase talk about that, because Chase is one of our lead VR developers. Has been with Push 2 or 3 years, yeah, somewhere in there. Is graduating. If anyone's looking to hire somebody, can't say enough about
I started with the project before Adjust Reality, and then kind of got to morph into this. So I've kind of seen the project grow, which has been awesome. But like Leanne was saying, a partnership with Campus Safety. So as a human-centered design lab, we really want to make something for you, like not just about you, but like we're really integrating all of the expertise and the knowledge that like Campus Safety in this instance has given us. So in terms of like content creation, basically we work with them, say, hey, what would you like to see in a scenario? And they go, well, we could really use training for those high risk, low frequency. So something where like a student's phone has been stolen or they've been assaulted, where it's really important that the officer knows how to respond appropriately, even if they've never actually gotten to real life experience that. So yeah, we work with them, kind of say, hey, what would you like us to train on? And they provide us all these different materials that they use, called like general orders, which is like, when you're in this situation, follow steps A, B, and C. And then we take that and turn it into this kind of game loop. And so yeah, in order to do that, we do things like storyboarding. This is the one for the theft scenario. It's basically just, hey, you're the officer, go talk to the student, now go talk to the witness, etc. And then I think next slide has the flow diagram, but so had to kind of adjust this a bit to fit on the screen. But this is one tool that we use to kind of lay out the story of it. So I know it's hard to read. Basically, it takes you from when you open the app and you're onboarding, you're selecting which scenario you want to do. When you're actually in the app, kind of doing the talking to the victim and the witness and that kind of loop. And then at the end, where it actually like grades your conversation, gives you feedback in that kind of whole flow. If you go back one. Yeah, and then I guess we'll get more into it later, but we use a software called Convey Eye, which is a kind of all-in-one solution for these interactive AI-powered NPCs. And then we also use a chatbot, ChatGPT 4.0, that does the grading. Yeah, it's a really iterative process. We work with them pretty much every week, every 2 weeks, to make sure that the scenario is progressing how they like. We can go to the next.
Yeah, so the storyboards, the flow charts, those are all things that we use in human-centered design pretty commonly to define software and other things. So bringing them pretty naturally into this space, working really closely, like you said, with our campus safety officers. And things like storyboards really help them understand how to give us feedback. Like, oh, you wouldn't do this here. You would actually need to go over there. Like that was a really lo-fi way to really quickly understand what that should feel like and really get valuable feedback. So that's been a lot of conversation with them to help shape what these scenarios look like and what is the common thing, until we now can get feedback that they're actually in headset from our officers. And that's obviously another level of refinement. So it's a lot of iteration, as you can imagine.
So we're getting close on time. Do you have a video? Did you want to play it?
Yeah, go for it. So this is just a small clip of the theft scenario, I believe it is.
One of them.
Yeah. So this is a Unity environment. You'll just see you're going to approach a student and have a conversation with them once it gets started.
Still early prototypes. That's why this environment's kind of barren.
It's a little lame. Yeah, we know. We are working on some models of we have some models of places on our campus. Right now we're using stock just from the Unity library. The models, the avatars are all made by Ready Player Me. Great, very quick way to kind of generate avatars. We use something called Convai to generate the AI conversation. The conversation between you and the student or the victim is then recorded and then sent to the GPT-4 assessment model. So we've developed a matrix there that will assess that. We know from working with enough officers that you don't give them percentage scores because they get real competitive. So you give them, satisfactory, you kind of give them, and then we also, the GPT-4 model also generates, you said this, well, here's some recommendations on how you could improve your conversation and improve your skills. So ideally, the idea is they would repeat these things. So we're running a pilot this spring of this, with this. I don't know, I don't know if there's audio for this. I don't want to talk over it the whole time.
Hi there. Did you call campus safety?
Let's be talking.
No, I didn't call them. I thought they just came to check because, my phone got stolen. I'm a bit all over the place right now.
So still working on the refinement of the models, but it's been great because we can put it in front of the officers, like nobody's that calm when their phone gets stolen. So like we can crank it up, we can make the kids cocky, or I shouldn't say students cocky. So it's been fun to kind of understand how to adjust the personalities. And Convai AI is really nice in that it has, I think in our slides, we even had some screenshots of how you can kind of adjust the personality and how you do the prompting, and you build a knowledge bank up with all the documents and things like that. We can explain that more if anyone wants to know in detail. I think our 5 minutes is up.
Oh yeah, you're way past 5 minutes.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. That's fine. That's
Need
fine.
a timer up here somewhere.
Yeah, it's hard to do. That's all right. We let you go if you got a lot to say. So normally we would do a couple questions back and forth. We're gonna limit it to one, and I'm gonna actually ask you both if you can keep it within a minute. That'd be great. But the main question is, what advice would you have for any other students or beginners that are interested in getting started with creating immersive content?
I would say look at resources on your campus. DePaul's honestly leading the way in these emerging technologies. We have multiple labs that have these VR headsets that you can check out, people that are really excited to help you learn how to use them. And there's always people who are interested. So I would say find a friend, go to an on-campus event, and yeah.
Do you want to add to it?
Yeah, find an awesome lab like Push Studio. No. I think I got into a lot of it coming to events like this. So I think I always try to tell students, you live in Chicago, a huge major city. There's so much cool stuff happening. Come to these types of events. I think this is how I learned a lot about emerging technology a little way back.